The Finding Purpose podcast is proudly brought to you by Relive the Moments, founded by visionary entrepreneur John Lim. We live in a world where it's easy to capture memories, but Relive the Moments makes it effortless to re-experience and share them. From NFC-enabled tap coasters and photo frames to interactive video cards, Relive the Moments turns everyday objects into unforgettable tap-to-experience keepsakes. Imagine gifting a wedding guest a coaster that instantly opens your highlight reel, or giving your event sponsors a custom frame that tells your story with just one tap. Whether you're celebrating a milestone, planning a wedding, honoring a legacy, or elevating a brand experience, Relive the Moments is the bridge between the past and present, between memory and connection. It's not just a product, it's an experience. Visit www.relivethemoments.com and use promo code PURPOSE for 25% off your first order. Let's bring your memories to life, one tap at a time.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Finding Purpose podcast. I'm your host, Adam Vora, and I'm so grateful to have you here. This podcast is all about exploring the journeys of incredible individuals, people who have faced adversity, found their purpose, and are now making an impact in their communities. But it's also about my journey. Over the years, I've faced my own obstacles, moments of doubt, and struggles with identity. Through it all, I found my purpose in giving back, creating a space where people can detach from the negative emotions and stigmas they may associate with their own stories, just like I did with mine. Here, we have real conversations about growth, resilience, and transformation. Whether you're searching for direction, striving for personal development, or simply looking for a place to feel seen and understood, this is for you. So if these conversations resonate with you, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and connect with us on social media. Now let's dive into today's episode.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Finding Purpose podcast. I'm Adam, and I appreciate you tuning in. Whether you're listening on Apple Podcasts or watching on the official YouTube channel of the Finding Purpose podcast, thank you for being here. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share. It helps us continue amplifying voices and stories that matter. Last week's episode with Dan Singer explored what it means to lead with vision, discipline, and clarity, whether in business or on the battlefield. Today's guest brings that same sense of drive and leadership, but her path is one built on courage, reinvention, and betting on yourself. Maria Camila Medina is a Colombian-born entrepreneur who moved to the U.S. at the age of 12. After earning a degree in marketing and spending over a decade in the high-pressure world of car sales, Camila found herself at a crossroads. Following a difficult experience with labor abuse, she made the bold decision to walk away, triggering a season of depression, financial struggle, and ultimately personal transformation. In 2023, alongside her husband, she founded MCM Marketing Firm, a bilingual digital agency that now helps brands grow through social media, SEO, and smart strategy. But beyond the business, Camila's story is rooted in faith, family, and unwavering belief that purpose is born through pressure. Now pregnant with her first child, she continues to lead with resilience, compassion, and a deep commitment to creating opportunity for herself and for others. Welcome. Like, I'm so happy that you're here. You know, like the first time that we met, we connected really well. And I'd seen you at events. I had seen you on Instagram, and I didn't realize how involved you were in like the Warm Heart Life community in Brandon. But I'm really glad that we were able to meet. And then we ran into each other at the restaurant. That was cool. But thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me. It's an absolute honor. I have seen your podcast quite a lot, and I'm like, I seen this dude at A to B Con.
Yeah.
And then everything makes sense at the restaurant when we were with my friend LB having lunch, and you're like, wait, I think I know you.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I seen you too.
Yeah. I mean, everything comes full circle. And I think it was like, obviously we were meant to cross paths. And then, like obviously I invited you on here and we had a really good conversation when we connected on our intro call. Just so my audience is familiar, can you talk a little bit about, like your early life, your upbringing and kind of everything that you laid out on that call? Because I think it's so powerful for them to better understand the other things that we're going to cover in this conversation.
Absolutely. Like as you said, we really connected in that interview call because you're also, you also come from a different culture. And if you didn't tell me, I wouldn't known.
Yeah.
But coming to the U.S. honestly has been such a blessing. It was hard because the first barrier was the language, right? Listening to myself like 17 years later, it's like, if you would have asked me when I had just first come to this country, if I was ever going to be this fluent, I would have said, no, never. Because I came here at, when I was 12. You start getting the language earlier, in earliest stage in life, right? Like when you're like maybe 7, 5. And I feel like when I just had come here at 12, I went straight to middle school. None of the kids wanted to speak Spanish to me. They all wanted to speak English to me. And I'm like, but why? You
came here in middle school?
Yeah.
Okay.
I came here straight to 8th grade. So everything felt like rushed. Leaving the family behind, I come from a very, very united family. My parents are divorced, but they did an amazing job keeping the family involved, right? And my brother and I involved within both families. I can tell you, that was the toughest situation I have experienced. Coming here to a new culture, a new language, a new life, and you start from zero. Like I'm telling you, I came here with 2 suitcases. I had maybe 3 pair of shoes and 5 different outfits because we thought, we were going to buy stuff here. But I think anyone that immigrates, to other countries and leave their family behind, they have a forever empty hole in their hearts.
Yeah, it's funny. Maria came from Colombia. I don't think you mentioned that.
Yes,
but yes.
from Colombia.
So she is Colombian, and whenever I talk to folks who immigrated to this country, particularly middle school, you know what's going on, and you can acknowledge the different lifestyle. What were some lasting memories of your early childhood in Colombia, and compare that to the stark contrast of what you have now, or what you kind of walked into?
Definitely the holidays. Christmas for us is a huge holiday where the country stops working literally from
Really?
December 15th, because everyone gets paid on the 15th until like January 2nd. They all come back. So you have an extensive vacation time, kind of say, like a break from school, and like all the cousins that you don't see throughout the year. You kind of see everybody there. And from my mother's side, I can speak, like my mom always brought in the family to her house. So we had a huge house, it's La Finca, which is like a colonial house in the mountains, and it's beautiful. We have a pool and sauna, so everyone will come, and we have horses, so we ride horses in La Finca. And having that for several years, to come into snow,
Yeah.
mud.
You came straight to Connecticut?
Yeah,
Okay.
straight to Connecticut. And just being 4 of us, my stepdad, my mom, my brother, and I, in Christmas and cold. Oh my God, like the weather still gets me because I'm Colombia, my city, Cali, it's very hot. I can say it's like 100 Fahrenheit all year round. So that was like a core memory that, coming to the States is like, oh my God, this is horrible. Like you feel lonely.
Yeah. When you look at having to adjust in the adjustment period for you, right? And, you jumped into car sales and, you had that labor issue. I'd love to walk through that because you come to this country for opportunity and I'm not sure what the perspective is like when you come to this country in that way, where it's like, all right, it's all about opportunity and everything's going to be flowery. And you face like a major setback, you know, in that career. Obviously, you know, you came middle school, you got through high school, you learned language, you went to college. Talk a little bit about that, like the adversity that you didn't anticipate. And we don't necessarily need to actually go to, you know, the car sales as much as like even just like growing up, adolescence, and also kind of just adjusting culturally.
Yeah, you know what's funny? My father, my biological father, he put my brother and I in English classes back home, and I'm like, Dad, we speak Spanish. Like, we're in Colombia. Like, you're crazy, right? Like, you're a kid, so you really don't know anything of anything. When I came to the country, I'm like, holy cow! All I remember from those private classes was hello, and my name is, and my color is blue. Like, my favorite color is blue, and obviously, like, it was such a blast to come at 12, even though I felt that it was late to learn the language. It was still a blessing because I went through the whole school system, middle school, as you mentioned, high school, college. And I had the opportunity to learn actually the language between middle school and high school. It wasn't until like sophomore year that I started to be more fluent and I started to understand. I went through a lot of bullying. The first town that we came to live at was West Haven, but we had to move to Middletown. Middletown at the time had a lot of very little Spanish population, at least in the high school. And my brother and I were like the very few Latinos that were in school. And the bullying was horrible.
Yeah.
So we had to like understand that the kids weren't in college educated enough to understand that, hey, they just came from another country, right?
Yeah.
So that was one obstacle, like learning to, you know, face what bullying was. I didn't know what bullying was until I came to this country.
How did you handle it?
With psychologists, a lot of therapy, and a very strong mother and father. I have a stepdad, but I call him dad because he raised me pretty much. He's from the Marines, so he has a very strong character, and he's like, you have to be firm. You have to not let people put you down because your mother did a brave decision to come to this country for a reason, and you don't understand right now, but you will understand later. And we just, you know, our brains kept being washed and watched in a positive way at home and the therapist in school. And then, I don't know, like something just like fire up in my chest one time. And I said, you know what? I need to graduate from high school quicker. And I didn't do 12th grade. I had all my grades by 11th. What is it? 11th grade?
Well,
So,
11th grade junior year.
by junior year, and I graduated, and I'm like, I'm out of here. When I went to college, I started seeing freedom, you know? Like, I started to see the light, and I was being myself, and I was like, you know what? I have beautiful roots. Like, I have a beautiful culture. Why do I have to hide it? Back in high school, I dyed my hair blonde for the first time. And my mom is like, you don't need to fit in. Like, you don't need to do all these extraordinary things to fit in. And I don't know, I think I learned the language quicker. It was more because I needed to tell people, hey, back off, than because I needed to understand the classes.
Yeah, one of the things that you just said, and you talked about how you like overcame the bullying. You said, you know, a lot of therapy. And, you know, a lot of the times, you know, here on the podcast, like we talk about that therapeutic journey in order to kind of overcome that, because we don't realize, you know, certain things that happened to us when we were, you know, in middle school, in high school, the long-term effects that they may have placed on you. But I do like what you said about how your mom said, like, you don't need to fit in. When did you first when were you first able to identify that, hey, like what I kind of went through, you know, being different in those adolescent years are having an effect on me now?
When did I?
When did you like realize that, you know, like that bullying was something that, you know, kind of may have had like a long-term effect that you needed to unpack it?
Definitely in college.
Yeah.
So when I started,
Where'd you go to school? Sorry.
I went to Middlesex Community College and then graduated at CCSU.
Okay.
But I went to Middletown High. And, the whole middle school and high school stage of my life was fitting in, trying to respect that, we're in a different country. And at least that's what the kids were making you feel like, oh, you're in America. You have to speak English. You have to go by your standards, right? Yeah. When, I went to college and I started seeing a lot of other people different like me, not just the standardized American blue-eyed blonde white person, right? Yeah. Because that's what that's how they picture it. They say to you that that's how you need to look like, and I'm like, this is beautiful. Like I started seeing Asians, I started seeing more Colombians, more South American people, and if it wasn't because I had such strong parents at home, being strong in a sense of don't break down because of this is so minor. Yeah. Compared to how beautiful really your life is and what you need to give to the world. I think I wouldn't have had face bullying the way I did. Yeah. And obviously therapy is super important in any stage of your life. Yeah.
It's funny because admittedly there is a lot of sameness in these smaller communities here in Connecticut. And, I grew up in one where, everyone looked the same, and it's impossible for, as an adolescent and as a teenager not to kind of look around and be like, I am different, whether, mm-hmm. No matter people still say the right things, no one's different, blah, 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 we're all this, but at the end of the day, you look around, you're like, no, I'm fucking different.
Yeah,
you know
what I mean? Different, yeah.
But, I like what your mom said. It's like the desire not to fit in. And when she told that to you, how did that, that's a powerful statement. Mm-hmm. And still. It's funny because, then you kind of jumped into your professional career. Talk a little bit about that. You talked about your first, your first job in car sales. Yeah. And I'm really curious about the labor abuse.
Yeah. So because my mother and my father did such a great job telling me you don't need to fit in, be yourself, I took that very serious. Yeah. And people were like, oh, you should be a model. Oh, you should be a nurse. Oh, you should do this. Oh, you should do that. But I'm like, I went to school for marketing for a reason, right? So I needed to have my degree, but it's in my blood. Sales is in my blood. Since I was little, my biological father and my mother, they had businesses. They ran businesses, multi-million businesses in Colombia. So I was brought up knowing what's to work, right? Yeah. Coming to the States at just 14 years old, I tell my mom, I want to go work. I want some money. I want to go to movies, and I don't want to ask you for money because you're going to tell me, no, I can't go. So I want to have my own money and be able to spend it whatever I want. And she's like, you don't have to work. You're too little. I'm like, no, I'm old enough and I can get a letter from high school to, So I landed a job at a restaurant. Yeah. I was a hostess and the guacamole girl at the Mexican restaurant. And then I'm like, this is so boring. This is not for me. Then, of course, I went to college and I started getting higher positions, I worked at Middlesex Hospital, I worked at Yale Hospital, but I was just so bored, Adam. I was in a cubicle and I will be the first one to make all my calls or whatever, all the follow-ups. And I knew inside me that I was capable to do more. I'm like, why did I went to school then? For what if I'm not doing what I went to school for, right? So I met this guy who was my boyfriend at the time. He was a lot older than me, and he owned a car dealership. And he was kind of using me, dude, for because a young girl, college girl, Latina, he showed me the way to how to flip cars. Yeah. Right? So he's like, listen, I got this trade-in for this much. But if you sell it for this much, the difference is yours. We're talking about $500, $700, $800 per car. Yeah. Cash, right? So I'm like, wait a minute. okay, he's like, I'm gonna try you out and see if what can you do, right? So I remember picking up the cars, fill them with gas, clean it up, put it in my driveway at the house I live with my parents in, put it in online. At the time, it was Crest. I can't say
Craigslist.
that. Yeah. And he gave me like a phone, a spare phone, and I call it the druggy phone.
It's like a burner phone.
And he's like, so he's teaching me all this stuff. And I was only like, 19 years old, 20
Yeah.
years old. And he says, this is what you're going to do. You're going to say you went to college, blah, blah. So I didn't tell anything to my parents. But then I started flipping cars. Like that car, I flipped it in 2 days. He gave me a next one and the next one. I flipped like 3 within a week. So I made like $2,500.
Yeah.
And, like it was legal in a way because it's coming from his dealership, right?
Yeah.
But in reality, in Connecticut, you can only sell so many cars privately, right?
Yeah.
You need to have
It was like one of those for sale by owners. He was trying to make you the owner.
a wholesaler type of thing.
Yeah.
So my family starts seeing different cars coming into the driveway. They start flipping out like, what the hell you're doing? Like, where are you getting this car? I'm like, yeah, my boyfriend. And they're like, at one point, they're like, I was trying to buy my parents' house. Like, every car I sell, I give you $100 each. Like, like, let me do my thing.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, señorita. This is not. You want to sell cars, you go do it the right way. You go and work for an actual dealership and you learn. I'm like, Mom, but this is cash. And she, no. So that experience lasts me maybe a month. I made the most money I ever made in my life.
Yeah, that's wild.
20 years old. And I said, holy cow, this is a businessman. I'm talking about 7-8 years ago.
Yeah.
And when this whole flipping cars was very like underground, like now you see them everywhere.
Yeah, it's Carvana and all that.
Yeah. So that fired up something in me. And the boyfriend at the time tells me, you have something in you. You have magic in you, but you don't know it yet. And I'm like, no, dude, I find out my magic. Like, I'm going to do it the right way. So I applied to Honda and I got hired right away. And then I sold Ford and Lincolns. And then I ended up at this wholesale car dealership where the whole labor abuse came. Being different, to me, it was beautiful. I started falling in love truly with who I am and my background because I was so unique, And all my girlfriends at the time were going for nursing, girly jobs. And I was the only one being car sales with, thick pants and like man shoes or whatever, because you're a salesperson. You're selling cars. Like you get dirty, right?
Yeah.
And I just fell in love with the process. I fell in love with the business. I fell in love with myself again. And I said, sales is for me. Sales is my thing. And I had graduated. I knew how to do marketing. So I was the only one in the dealership where I had my own marketing strategics. And I was selling the most because I was very active in social media. The owner of this place, I cannot disclose much of this, but started making me feel like I was part of his family type of thing, right? So I started becoming not just the car salesperson. I got promoted to management. Then all I know is that I end up having 4 different job positions, 4 different managerial positions with the same pay. Not only that, it was just the fact of having to say where I was going, what I was doing constantly, right? And along with many other things that I'll leave it for private stuff, not public. But he was physical.
Yeah.
One time, I was at this place 2 years, and he came kind of hangover one time, and there was some issues, and he grabbed me the hands and screamed in my face. And thank God all of this got recorded in my phone. And I ended up at the hospital with never knew what was an anxiety attack until that day. Ended up in the hospital, was admitted for like overnight then. And it was a female doctor, and she says, after I tell her what happened, she's like, the first thing you got to do is go to the police department, and you have to report this because this is labor abuse.
Yeah.
I was panicking because I was like, I do not want to confront this guy. You know, he has a dirty background kind of thing, and I'm like, no, I don't want to do this. So I went into depression. She tells me you cannot put a foot back in that dealership because they're gonna kill you. Like with what happened, like he's gonna hit you harder one more time and you can get knocked out. Like you're a young lady. So I lost the job,
Yeah.
obviously.
Yeah.
Not coming back, making that decision of not coming back to I had a really good pay. Yes, I had a lot of responsibilities, but at the time it was like I just had bought a house. I just had gotten married, and having to be like, hey, if you come back, because he left the doors open for me after all that. He's like, I'll see you Monday.
It's fucking wild.
And when the doctor said that, and not going to the police because I was scared, obviously, staying in the house, I'm like, I'm gonna go crazy. Like I don't know what's not to work since I was 14 years old.
Yeah.
So that put me into depression, having to file unemployment. Like the first time I ever filed unemployment was during COVID. I didn't know what was that, and having to do that, I almost lost my house.
This was around the time of COVID.
No. This is like, I'm saying, like having to have to do that, like not in a crisis like COVID, right?
Yeah.
Like doing it because this dude, like the owner, just went on you physically. I don't know. It was terrifying.
Yeah.
And I wanted to talk to like somebody to guide me legally, like stuff, but I was just not capable. Like something in me, I was scared. I was scared of the guy. I was scared of what he could do to me. And I didn't do anything for 8 months. I went straight to depression, and I didn't see myself. I couldn't put a head up.
Yeah.
And I went on drinking. So I was very depressed. I went going out a lot, and I was just married, and I was not really focused on what I needed to do. I had to collect unemployment. And then 8 months later, again, I went back to therapy. And therapy has been like the one solution in any stage of my life. And my therapist tells me, you need to get out of this hole because you have accomplished so much more in life that this is just a stone. You need to pass that. You need to move forward. He's like, what has been something that you always wanted to do in life that you haven't thrown yourself to do it? I said, I want to have my own company. And he's like, well, it's time for you to do it. Yeah. And I'm like, dude, but I'm broke as a joke.
Yeah.
How am I going to open up a company? It's like, well, you have a husband. Like, he's working, right? You have maybe 2 more weeks of unemployment. Like, sit down and get your shit together.
Yeah. I want to just kind of like circle back a little bit because, or not circle back, but like talk about like, like the depression and, now looking back at that period in your life, because I think this is, something that resonates well with my audience because we talk about, the mental and emotional journeys. Mm-hmm. And oftentimes those dark places may not be physical. You might still have a roof over your head. You might still be eating, but it's the mental and emotional part that is the bottom. So when you look back at that, what have you learned from it?
To be very humbled. I had everything in my life. Like, I have no complaints. Even when I immigrated to this country, my parents still provided me everything. Knowing that money and status, it's not everything in life, Adam.
Yeah.
You can have everything you ever wish for. You can hustle for money. That could be your motivation. And that was my motivation. Fancy vacations. I was driving a nice Mercedes Benz, buying a house at only 21-year-old, stuff like that you think at the time that fulfills you. It in reality doesn't. So when you hit bottom and you find yourself alone, broke, you don't have all those people that were with you, right? Partying 3 weekends ago. You don't have... that material stuff, because they can be taken away from you at any time.
Yeah.
What doesn't get taken away from you is the willingness, right, of you to move forward. So that humbled me a lot. That really humbled me a lot, and understand that mental issues can come at any time in your life. I used to say therapy was for crazy people. No, dude, it's not for crazy people. It's for people that are looking to get better at whatever is going on in their lives. And that was one of my biggest lessons, not being motivated for money.
Yeah.
And everything that I do and I've been doing after that, it has been with God in my heart. And so I think that was a sign from God, like, hey, little girl, like, you've been partying too much. You've been having a good life. Like, let me show you how.
Check you for a second. No, it's true. That happens. And things are going good. And sometimes God has to hit you with a little check and be like, listen, like, you're slipping in the gratitude department. You're slipping in the humility department. You're slipping in just the prioritization of faith or whatever is bigger than what you're doing, because there's a lot, and he checks you. And it's funny that you say that. One of the things that struck me about your bio and the story that we've been unwrapping is we haven't even mentioned your competition in beauty pageants. And I think it's a testament to you, where it's like, like who you are as a person, where you're a businesswoman. But we do need to talk about it, because I think when you compete at any stage on that level, it's a different level of competition. I think competition is extremely important, not only in business, but when it just comes to like integrity and also being able to lead. So, I think that's super important to talk about. So
yeah. Reina Latina came like...
how recent was it?
I was crowned February 8th this year.
Oh.
But the competition was 4 months of training. And I was struggling with infertility.
Yeah.
And I've been trying to have a baby for the past 2 years. I lost the baby like 4 or 5 years ago. And my body kind of got marked with endometriosis, polycystic ovaries, like some sort of issues that prevents you from getting pregnant easier. And at the time, I was really trying with my husband to get pregnant naturally, and it was just not doing it. And Reina Latina just came like at that year where I was like already exhausted from trying. And I'm like, maybe it's not the time to be a mother. Maybe I got to go for a crown. My mom is like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm stopping the process, because then like you get moved from OBG to like a fertility clinic. Yeah. Because they can't help you. So the fertility clinic.
I'm familiar. Yeah.
You are.
Yeah. I did work in with a nonprofit fertility.
Oh my goodness.
So I'm very familiar.
You're like a surprise box. I might interview you.
All right. Yeah.
So anyways, this came on board, and my mom is like, you're crazy. I was actually speaking for Warm Her Life school. We had here in Stanford. We had just come from the Bronx, and from speaking at the schools. And then Brandon brought us to Stanford to do the keynote. In here in Stanford, I don't know what is it called.
UConn Stanford.
UConn Stanford, yeah. And they called me from the organization and said, you're coming today, right? Because you're one of the candidates. I'm like, what? Did I made it in? Like, really? Like, I just did that, like, just to see like what happens. And they're like, yeah, you have to be here in the next 3 hours. I'm like, oh my God, I'm about to speak. I tell Brandon, I need to, he was like, what happened? It's like, I need to be one of the first one to give the keynote. What happened? He was like, because I made it into this competition. He was like, you what? Like, everyone was like, what's going on with this girl? I'm like, I gotta go Danbury because I'm one of the candidates. Like, okay, good luck. Like, he's like, okay, speak. I went on stage, blah, blah, blah. Drove, and the journey started there, man. I lost 38 pounds. I was the skinniest I've ever been in my life, and I loved it. And I think that's one motivation is all those pictures that I have from Reina Latina campaign, because I'm like, that feels good, man. It feels awesome. And of course, there was 18 girls. Out of the 18, 10 competed. Different countries. They're all beautiful. If you can stalk the page, you can see all these gorgeous ladies. And modeling is something that I did back home when I was a kid. And it's something that my mother always freaking wanted me to do. She was like, you should be a queen. You gotta be in modeling, like not selling cars. And I'm like, here it is, Mom. I accomplished something before you die.
There you go.
So here it is. And a lot of people was like, no, you don't have the body for that. No. You don't.
Haters.
Yeah, you're not that girly, Camila. I don't see you doing that. And the only ones that really truly supported me and still do is Ricardo and Samuel. They own 14 Photo Studio. I love them dearly. They became like my brothers, and they're the directors still, because I still crowned it, even though I'm pregnant, which is beautiful. This organization did not said, you're kicked out. No, they're like, embrace it. You're going to be a mother. Freaking embrace it with a crown,
Yeah.
And it was rough because when I won, 3 days later, the social media went on fire saying I bought the crown. That I bought the crown, that the reason why they picked me was because my brother and my husband are famous. I'm like, where is the money then? Like, why are we still in Connecticut if they're famous?
That's wild.
So, and they went cyberbullying me. I haven't experienced bullying since middle school to now experience it at 30 years old.
Yeah.
I was just dying laughing. People were like, you're not going to come on social media and say something? I'm like, no, let them shine. Let them speak about me. Why? I need to become famous because definitely my brother and my husband are not famous.
Yeah.
So.
Quick break to shout out our sponsor, Relive the Moments. Founded by John Lim, they're redefining how we share memories. From tap-to-play photo frames to interactive coasters, they turn ordinary objects into powerful, shareable experiences. Perfect for weddings, events, or milestone moments. Relive, reconnect, reimagine. Check them out at www.relivethemoments.com. Now back to the show. Yo, that's crazy. And I mean, like, it's kind of crazy that you, like you're trying to have a baby and then you had the loss. You took a break, won a crown, were the skinniest that you ever were. And now, I mean, I'm sorry, sweetheart, but now you're going to be getting bigger, So it's kind of hilarious. It's kind of hilarious, like that sequence. But there was a lot there. And I want to talk about that because I did work with a foundation, the Carlos Rodon Foundation, that raises money for IVF.
I love that.
And, I worked with them last year and I'm going to their gala this year. And, they're good friends of mine. I listen to a lot of women talk about, their fertility journey.
Mm-hmm.
And, I think it's kind of fascinating that you had that bout with depression after the labor abuse.
Mm-hmm.
And now you're approaching another hardship in your life when it comes to starting a family. And you had the tools necessary to kind of navigate that because you'd already done work regarding depression as well. Because, you know, a lot of women, you know, from the stories that I've heard, the loss is tremendous, and it's a very sad moment, you know, in that process, especially when, you know, you feel like you got it, and, you know, then there isn't a heartbeat. And from what you learned in therapy from the first bout with depression, how were you able to overcome that and then mount the courage to say, you know what, like maybe right now isn't the time, and let me shine for a minute. And like, what was that line of thinking? Because it's very different.
Man, I tell you that if it wasn't because I've been through a lot of stuff, like divorced parents when I was only 4 years old. Like that was one that really was like a knife through my heart. For several years, moving to the country, losing my family, kind of like losing it because you're not there present anymore, right? To bullying in high school, I always had therapy, right?
Yeah.
And you only get stronger. Therapy teaches you how to cope with things, right? Everything starts from a thought, right? Thought generates emotions, emotions generate actions, right? And that's something that I repeatedly have to tell myself. Everything starts from a thought. So if I'm thinking or I'm believing that what people are saying about me is true, it's going to generate sadness and depression. Therefore, I'm going to fall into pills. I'm going to fall into being really sad and lose control of my life. But if that thought, it's positive. Hey, maybe they're talking out of envy. You know, when I won the crown, they don't love themselves to come literally to a podcast to talk crap about myself in public, right? That's not really like, learn how to lose and learn how to win, right? There are good winners and good losers. And obviously, like, I didn't pay anything. Like, to start with, the crown is made of metal, okay?
Yeah.
So I don't know what would I buy, or the title, right? But if it wasn't because of therapy and learning how to cope with the systems, I don't think I would have been that brave and strong at this age to surpass infertility and cyberbullying, because that was the very recent one of this year, cyberbullying. I really encourage people to really change, really tweak things out. If they're telling you you're ugly, they're saying you're beautiful. you know? If they're telling you you're poor, they're saying you're rich.
Yeah.
And that's how I have handled it.
Yeah. I mean, with the cyberbullying, it's funny because I get a little bit of that when I post a lot at the end of the day. And sometimes people agree with what I say and sometimes people don't. Mm-hmm. And, you could see all the metrics on Instagram now. And I'll look and I'm like, okay, I have 37 unfollows, right? But I have 200 follows. So net, I'm fine.
You're doing something
and
right.
B, I can't let those folks who unfollowed me really bother me, because at the end of the day, like, I'm not for them. I don't really care.
Ever since I mentioned that I was pregnant, I lost so many followers.
Your followers don't want to see.
And that's probably a bunch of guys.
That's so funny. There's definitely a bunch of dudes like, oh, you're pregnant? Oh, I thought you were single.
Oh.
Or like, oh, like they thought they had a chance. That is hilarious. But like, at the end of the day, like, it doesn't matter, because, like, one of the things you're kind of sharing with me is like the acceptance of knowing that you're not for everybody.
Correct.
And, that's something that I have learned in the beginning, because a lot of that fear initially when I launched this platform was, I want people to like me. Mm-hmm. And now I'm really more motivated by, I want my message to reach the people who need to hear it.
The right people, yeah.
And
Absolutely.
With that motivation, I can post whatever I want as long as it comes from the heart and it's meaningful and it can help somebody. And that's kind of how I navigate it. When you kind of look at everything and how like your perspective has changed over the years, and now you're a business owner. How have you used all of the tools that you've accumulated through your journey? Now, obviously, the competition, the labor abuse, the personal experience with infertility and divorce, and now you're a business owner. Talk about the resilience your lived experience thus far has provided to be a tool.
Yeah, that's a good one, Adam. It's a relationship. I see it as a relationship. Being an entrepreneur is really another level of a relationship within yourself, right? You have to be brave. You have to be patient. You have to be humble, man. My first year, we're going to be 2 years, active, open, register, everything legal. I made sure I did my LLC before I heard people saying, you're not even legal.
Your mama yell at you.
And the first year, you have no idea how much collaborations I did, right? So you come from living not paycheck to paycheck. I wasn't living paycheck to paycheck because I had my finances really straight because I was making good money for my age at the time, right? So I wasn't living paycheck to paycheck. I was actually living large and nice and comfortable. Coming from that to humble yourself to, hey, how many clients do you close this week? How many people you touch with on the phone every day, right? So your brain automatically, it's like a baby, right? It's a different level of relationship. And because I have built so much strength within myself, I had to be strong enough to take no's, right? Every no for me was fuel in my blood to get a freaking yes. Mm-hmm. And I had to learn how to put goals of reaching out to people, going to networking events. That's when I found out the whole networking events dynamic, right? But the first year was a lot of collaborations, a lot of free work, a lot of long hours, not getting paid. And it wasn't until maybe 8 months in of doing that my company did a boom. And everything circles back around to being humble. Learn how to be humble and stay humble throughout the process and stay patient.
You said something super valuable about learning how to accept no's. And on the flip side of that, it's also, for me, was learning how to say no. Because, you know, I think at my root, I have a track record of being very much a people pleaser and wanting to be accepted, that I said a lot of yeses to things that weren't really adding value to my business or to my brand. And now I'm trying to be a little more diligent by really dissecting opportunities that on the surface may look like opportunities, but really aren't. And
beautiful.
Sometimes you have to just say, you know what, thank you for thinking of me. Really appreciate it, but I don't think it aligns well. And sometimes the people who you are saying this no to may feel some type of way. And you need to understand, like, that's them and not you.
Not you.
And that, you know, that's something that I'm leaning into a lot more now.
Good for you.
Because I said yes to everything right off the bat, you know, like, because you get excited and it's like, okay, like I want the visibility, but, you know, oftentimes it's like, you don't really align with me, you know, and it's not personal, and I'm proud of what you're doing, but we're just on different trajectories. When you talk about, like, from a business standpoint, like what do you think is really important when it comes to mindset when you're navigating this entrepreneurial journey?
You have to tattoo in your brain that it's not going to be pretty. Like, you have to walk into this this stage of life where you need to understand that it's going to take time and money before you even make a dime.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people, when they open up businesses or they want to open up businesses, they go in with the mindset of, I need to make money in the next 15 days. Nobody. That's not how it works.
Yeah.
You will not see any profit for the first year or two. So you have to have a plan A, B, and Z because it's not, I don't recommend anybody to do it out of desperation. I don't recommend anybody taking on this entrepreneurial role out of because need of money. No, because you actually need money to run your business.
Yeah.
And you're gonna lose a lot of money in the way because you're learning the structures. You're learning how your business is going to actually support other businesses or help other entrepreneurs, right?
Yeah. When
I first opened up, I remember my first roll-up, it had 10 different services that I was offering. And I remember bringing this roll-up and people taking a look at it, but taking a look at it like, this girl do too much. Like, what do they even do, right? Yes, it's a digital marketing firm, but in each company, in each how you say this, in each industry category, you need to define, okay, first define really how you want to take on your business, right?
Yeah.
You cannot be going around offering 10 services, right, when you cannot even master the first 3. So my mindset was of very positive, very humble, but at the same time telling myself constantly, like, you're going to figure it out.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of time.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's so important. Me and Claudio talk about it all the time where, you know, like we both have businesses and obviously we both want to be successful, and you're dealing with yourself and your own ego. You're dealing with your clients and their egos, and you're dealing with a way to, you know, best monetize not only your services, but also your time. And that's something that I know I've gotten better at, but in the beginning I was very bad at time management. I think that's a huge thing that, you know, that needs to be tackled. And you know, going back to what I said before, like, it is like, hey, like, is my time and energy best suited collaborating with you or best suited collaborating with you? And what's the ROI on that? Maybe not right now, but long term. And, you know, for me, you know, I'll talk about my business. You know, like my business right now is in a place where it's just starting to get traction, where people are reaching out to me and asking me to manage their events, or when people are, you know, looking for my input and ready to actually pay for it. For a lot of times, though, you get, you know, friends and family that are just trying to reach out and want you to help them. And, you know, sometimes friends and family aren't like the best clients because they're not. They're terrible.
That's sad.
You know, I mean, I love them. I mean, I'm not saying, but like friends and family,
We love them, yeah.
you know, sometimes, yeah, they're looking for handouts, you know, a lot of times, and it's hard for you to say no, and they know that it's hard for you to say no. I found that like a lot of the people who support me now are people who I met within the past year. Within the past year, they're my biggest supporters. They prop me up and they connect me with people. And, you know, it's first I was very insulted and hurt that like the people who, you know, love me the most, you know, aren't doing these things because I felt like that they should. But now like I kind of understand it. And it's different, you know, it's just different. But when you know, I want to talk about, you know, mentorship, because I think for me, like obviously I lean on several mentors in several different spaces, and depending on, you know, what I'm focusing on, like, you know, from the podcast component, I have a mentor, from the events component, I have a mentor, and just like from the business component, you know, I have a mentor. How important is mentorship to you?
Huge. That's why I joined Warm Her Life. And it was funny because in this journey of networking events, right, and going to network, I met John Mendes last year. Shout out to John Mendes. He on his birthday. So next week is my anniversary of knowing him.
Yeah, I love
and
him.
everyone that is in his circle. Because of him, I got to meet Brendan, G2, you, and I had taken public speaking classes before, but becoming an entrepreneur, like I found myself that I was expressing myself correctly, right?
Yeah.
And who did I tell? G2, you know G2,
G.
yeah. I said, yeah, like he's asking me at John Mendes' birthday, like, like you just open up your firm, like how you gonna move forward, or like what are you looking to do or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know, I want to start speaking like more fluent at events, and maybe start getting opportunities to speak. But I didn't know that people get paid to speak. I had no
They sure do.
idea. Now I know.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm gonna connect you with Brandon. So I got connected, and I love the whole Warm Heart Life,
Yeah.
Opportunities that they offer. And I'm like, wait a second, this is like a mentor. So Brandon actually became one of my mentors, and not just for public speaking, but also for business purpose.
He's a business coach too. Yeah.
Yeah, so he loves marketing, and he tells me, hey, if it wasn't because of Warm Heart Life, like I would have a marketing firm. He loves marketing, and mentorship is something that people need to have the mentality of putting the head down a little bit and listen, and let somebody that knows and have experienced certain things to guide you. Not everyone it's a good mentor. You really need to know where the resources are coming from. But it's an amazing investment. It's not an expense to me. It's an investment, and that's why I wasn't afraid to invest in the public speaking tours that Brendan and Warm Heart Life does. Because when you really want something, Adam, doesn't matter how much it costs or how much time it's going to take. If you want to perfection something and you want to do something right, you're going to pay for that.
Yeah.
So I think mentorship is super important, especially as an entrepreneur.
I love that. No, because I was thinking about one other thing that's like I really wanted to touch upon. You're about to be a mother.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I have a lot of moms in here. It's like a weird pivot. It's like super weird period. And I feel like we've been all over the place. And maybe it's because I drank a shit ton of espresso before this episode.
It's gonna be a good episode.
Claudia always warns me about this. But like I have all these thoughts, and now I'm like thinking like you're gonna be a mother, and I've had my fair share of moms here on my podcast, but I've never had someone expecting the first child. So I'm really curious to hear what you think it's gonna be like as a mom and an entrepreneur. And then I want to check back with you in a year.
In a year. Okay. I think it's going to be really interesting, right? Because I used to love kids when they were not mine. Because
Fair.
you have them for a little bit, might sound harsh, I'm sorry, but you have them for a little bit, they go with their own parents, like, and you still have your glass of wine and you can party and whatever. Now it's like, damn, this is the first time I'm sober. Just kidding.
Yeah, no, so.
But it's like, I don't know. It's something I've been wanting for so long. Like, I feel 2 years is a long time of wanting something so special, like the feeling of being a mother. But I think I'm going to be a cool mom. I think, and especially it's a boy. We find out last weekend that it's going to be a boy. It's going to be Alejandro. And I just think it's going to be my body, man. Like, I can't wait for like having, who's your girlfriend or stuff like that, like.
Oh, you're a long way from that, but yeah.
But I think it's going to be fun. And I think that because my parents brought me up working, like, I'm going to take this kid to close some deals with me, you know? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. Some women have said, oh, this is going to be so hard. It's like the worst, you know, like a nightmare. You're not going to sleep. You're not going to be able to be yourself anymore. And I'm like, damn it. I don't see it that way. Like, I might not sleep for a couple years. I might lose my hair, maybe, who knows? But I don't know. Listen, I don't want to be old and wrinkly and not have somebody give me a pill, okay?
Fair.
Like, I want something that came from me and feel my pain and be like, this poor lady needs a pill, or, you know, or like, let's take her for an ice cream or something. Like, you know?
All right.
So I see it differently. I think it's gonna be a fun ride.
Yeah, it's gonna be a fun ride. All right, we'll talk to you in a year. But you know, on a serious note, as you know, a future mother, what are some values that you want to instill in Alejandro, and what are some values that you could say were passed down to you generationally that you want to prioritize when you know you start your family?
Definitely keeping God in his heart. You know, I'm Catholic. I was raised Catholic. But whatever God he wants to believe in, right? I don't want to force, like my family forced me, like I had to be Catholic, okay?
But you lean on your faith.
I lean on my faith very, very much.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful for my grandmother that took me by the ears to church every Sunday, because it's very important to understand there is a spirit beyond this meat, right? Beyond these bones. And definitely that. I want to prioritize that there is a God, and he must be faithful, and, you know, and lean by faith, and also be humble and not to forget his roots. He's going to be born in the United States, you know? So
Yeah.
right off the bat, like we already know he's going to be within the American culture in daycare or whatever, you know, I don't even know, preschool, whatever it's called, where the kids go after a certain age. And I want to maintain that fire of we're Latinos, we're Hispanic at home, you know, we're Colombians. Like, I want him to understand that we come from a beautiful country and beautiful history, and definitely to be respectful and to understand that there's a lot of people out there that are different than him, and that some might like him and some might not.
Yeah.
And build that strength, you know, how my parents did. But I want to start it from zero.
Yeah.
I don't think my mother ever thought that we're going to come to a country where you're going to face bullying. So we weren't really thought that.
Kids are mean. Kids are fucking mean.
So I definitely want to teach him that, you know, like, hey, we're in a different country, and you're different, but you're unique in your own sense.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because now when you look at it, and you know, it's kind of a full circle moment where your father was giving you private English lessons, right? And you come to this country and you said something, he's going to be born in the United States. What do you think that means to your dad and mom to have their grandson be born in America? Because from the sound of it, they fought really hard to bring the family here.
Yes. First of all, they're in cloud nine right now. It's their first grandkid. It's the first grandchild in my family. So this kid is already very, very loved, very waiting for, like how you say, very they've been waiting for this moment a lot.
Pre-spoiled. It's a pre-order.
Yes. Hey, it was made in a lab.
Hey.
Very special. They just afraid that the baby doesn't get, you know, that much of the culture from back home. And that's why I think it's so important you implement that at home, because the kids got to go to school. The kids are going to learn the language out there, you know, but there's so many different other kids from so many other different cultures that he's going to be like, what's going on, you know? But definitely they're just afraid that because I'm too chill, you know, like
You're pretty chill.
I'm very chill and very cool, that I'm not really thinking in like, hey, teach Alejandro, we speak Spanish, you know, coming from Cali, Colombia. I'm like, Ma, I got it. If I don't get it, you're here anyways. You got it.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. Like I could get that, but I think you're going to be a great mom. And I'm
Thank
really,
you.
really, really happy for you.
Thank
You know,
you.
because you fought for this kid, and
Yeah.
God bless you for that.
Amen.
I want to talk about purpose. Obviously, I think purpose is really important when it comes to, obviously professionally, but now as a mother, being a purposeful parent. What does the word purpose mean to you?
To think before you do. I think having purpose, anything you do in life is, okay, I'm doing this. Okay, why? What's the reason you're doing it for? Okay, so purpose it's a beautiful word, and I think you have to think twice before taking action and stuff, because if you're not thinking, then what's the purpose?
Hey, that was good.
Right?
That was good. Yeah. What advice would you give to somebody on that journey of finding purpose?
Definitely find a mentor, because if you don't, there is so much information online, but honestly, I would have saved hundreds of dollars if I would have started out by finding truly somebody that could guide me, whether it was free or paid or whatever it was. I think you can save a lot of headaches if you connect with somebody that can guide you, that already have done it and been there and done that, and be like, this is the way, walk with me, I'll show you. That's number one. If I would have done that 2 years ago, Adam, we would be speaking right now, I don't know, in the moon right now or somewhere.
Hey, listen, well, I'm glad we're speaking now, and I believe that everything kind of happens when it's supposed to happen, and I'm really happy that your journey and your dream is coming to fruition for both you and your husband and your family, because I can only imagine like how happy your parents are and your entire family back in Colombia is. I'd love for you to please share with my audience how they can reach you if you have anything exciting upcoming other than the baby, by all means.
Yeah, absolutely. So I am part of two really great events coming up soon. There is a golf outing for all you professional golfers or non-players. We're going to be doing a golf outing in next month, September 25th. So if you're a golfer and you want to network and you have a business and you want a sponsorship, there is a sponsorship opportunities. I'm also part of the first Latino Expo, Real Estate Expo, which will take place in October 17th at Norwalk Sono Mall. So if you want more information, again, there is unfortunately a waiting list for sponsorship. There's so many sponsors that there is a waiting list right now. And those are the two major events. You can find me at MCM Marketing Firm on Instagram, or my personal one if you want to see my whole beauty Reina Latina stuff, Miss Camila Medina.
Thank you so much. Maria Camila Medina.
You got it, buddy.
Thank you so much for coming on. I just love your energy, and I am so grateful for you visiting us here at Kai Visions. I do want to shout out a couple people, Kai Visions, obviously my boy Claudio. If you guys have any social media, marketing, podcasts, digital content needs, don't hesitate to reach out to me or directly to him at Kai Visions, and we can get it going. I do want to thank Relive the Moments as my sponsor. Great company, great owner, great vice president, or great president, and great team. And I love the team. I love what they do. Feel free to reach out to me. You probably saw the ads opening and in the middle of the episode. And if you want to connect with me, feel free to reach out at @AdamVora_ or at the Finding Purpose podcast. And I am super grateful for everyone who has already liked, engaged, shared, commented, slid into my DMs. All of that matters because we are trying to build a beautiful community and you are a big part of it. So thank you so much, and we shall see you next time.